So if you're watching this video right now, you are probably trying to cope with the fact that esports is pretty much dead in America. Europe and Asia have basically left us way far behind, and unless we actually do something about it, we're never going to be able to catch up. Like, I'm sorry, but that's the truth. If you're in a ranked match right now for any game, just log off. Hello there. YouTube Game Black Faker here. Blaker. Flack? I don't know, let me know in the comments. But anyways, hi. Also, before we get into the video, if you end up liking this one, I highly recommend checking out some of my other videos. No pressure, give it the 3-episode rule. Give me 3 episodes of your time, and if you think that you enjoyed all 3 of them, then hit the subscribe button, and then we'll just do more stuff. It'll be fun. I have lots of ideas. So thank you again, and let's hit the intro.
Step on it, Daddy.
Now, look, I'm in my 30s, which, yes, I know, thank you. And in my 30s, like, I've seen every chance that America had in order to embrace esports and actually be on a level of being a global competitor. Like, I watched G4 Arena. That's how old I am.
But this is still anyone's match. And the winner of our last game will move one step closer. Destination, vacation. Let's go to Kevin to the PC ring to get things started with Unreal Tournament 2004. Kevin.
But now here in America, a lot of esports are basically relegated to something that would be put on ESPN 8. So that is what I'm here to talk about today. Why are we as a country just so woefully inadequate at esports, and is there anything we can do about it? Yes, but you know, it's not gonna happen anytime soon. I'm sorry. So let's talk about it. So you know what's funny about watching esports evolve? We basically traded competitive cheese rolling and squirrel skiing for people clicking heads in Valorant, and somehow that's considered the less legitimate sport. It got me thinking about how we got here from the days when competitive gaming meant having the highest score at the local arcade to a world where people will fill stadiums to watch teenagers become millionaires in League of Legends. We went from struggling to explain to our parents why we needed just 5 more minutes to finish a raid to watching broadcast deals worth hundreds and millions of dollars for games that would make those same parents ask, why is that mushroom man building AP? And as I said before, you know what all of this reminds me of? ESPN 8 The Ocho. That brilliantly bizarre fictional network from the movie Dodgeball. And the whole point of it was that it celebrated the weirdest and most wonderful corners of competitive spirit. I mean, like, think about it. We'll watch people race lawnmowers on ESPN 8 The Ocho with complete seriousness. I mean, I would. But the moment that somebody makes 6 figures playing League of Legends or Dota 2, everyone just absolutely loses their minds. But here's what makes the whole phenomenon fascinating. These weird esports aren't just niche curiosities. They're thriving communities with their own cultures, heroes, and controversies, and just so much drama that it willed the hobby drama subreddit into existence. It's like the Ocho's spirit animal mated with a gaming PC and produced an entire ecosystem for us nerds. And each part of that ecosystem has their own 45,000 word post about that one tournament that we never ever mention. But here is the thing. While we're busy making jokes about professional gamers, countries like South Korea have built entire ecosystems around esports that are changing how their youth develop skills, build communities, and imagine their futures. As Rachel Myung-ju, associate professor at Middlebury College, points out in her research, the entire national atmosphere, the availability of PC rooms and PC games, and government funding for internet infrastructure are all supporting this. And meanwhile, my kids are trying to practice their team coordination through things like Discord while eating Doritos in separate bedrooms. Back in the mid-2000s, Syracuse University Research put out a blog that talked about how by 2021 they thought that esports was projected to have more viewers in the US than every professional sport except the NFL. Like, we're talking 84 million viewers. That is more than the MLB and the NBA. But looking at actual stats, while esports are still growing and still being very profitable, it's over in the EU and Asia, not here in NA. Now, why is that?
It rarely gets done. And I'll tell you right now, sports fans, Moist Esports has never made a single penny. In fact, let's be super open and transparent. Over the last 4 years, I have lost, in total, right around $4.2 million, I believe, across all of the games we've competed in across all of these years. And you know what? I'd do it all over again.
Somehow we're still treating it like this weird thing that just belongs on ESPN 8. Instead, we're missing out on something crucial here. This isn't about entertainment, or it's not just about entertainment. It's about infrastructure, opportunity, and how we're preparing, or at least failing to prepare, the next generation for their future. So here's where things get really interesting. So really quick, let me tell you about a formative moment in my gaming life. When I was 12, I got to visit my mom's side of the family in Seoul, South Korea. My mom's Korean, obviously. This was back in like 2002 or so. I was 11, 12 at the time. And this was also back when most Americans were still trying to figure out if the internet was just a fad. Because of the language barrier, you know, I'm half Korean. I knew 0 Korean at the time. I know like 3 Korean now, so progress. The only thing that I could really understand and watch on TV at that time were StarCraft tournaments. And when I say StarCraft tournaments, I mean like there was a channel dedicated to just showing StarCraft matches all the time. And folks, like this wasn't late night cable access show type stuff. This was prime time entertainment with production values that were on the level of ESPN. Easily. But like what really blew my mind was when my cousin took me to what they call a PC bong. These weren't just glorified internet cafes, they were actual community hubs that functioned like a combination of your local YMCA, a professional training facility, and that one friend's basement where everyone used to gather to play Halo or Super Smash Bros. As Dr. Ju explains in her research, PC bongs become very popular. There are places that are open 24 hours a day where you can pay to play per hour with friends and strangers. If someone is really good, then everyone stops and gathers around that player. And I mean, if you want an actual example of this, because of the fact I don't know Korean, but at the time I knew how to play Warcraft 3. So what did my cousin and I do? Because of the fact that we didn't really know how to communicate that well between each other, we just played Warcraft 3 in a PC bong for a couple hours. Just going back and forth, you know, GG, yes, good game. Like, how is that not cool? For a kid who grew up hiding parts of their gaming hobby like a guilty secret, watching pro gamers being treated with the same reverence as traditional athletes was absolutely mind-blowing. I knew that I was witnessing the future of entertainment. I just didn't expect America would take an extra 2.5 decades to catch up. And when you really start diving into it, here's where things get really interesting and kind of depressing if you're an American parent that's watching your kid trying to get good at their favorite game. According to Dr. Ju's research, Korean esports organizations prioritize attitude and personality traits over just raw skill when recruiting players. And I mean, that makes sense. They're looking for temperament, coachability, and emotional intelligence. Meanwhile, American teams are still stuck in their Moneyball era, focusing exclusively on stats and past performance. It works, yeah, but it could be done better. And I mean, think about what that means for player development. If my 11-year-old's idea of training is essentially grinding ranked matches while watching YouTube tutorials, their Korean counterparts, they're out here getting structured coaching that addresses everything from mechanical skills to mental resilience. It's like the difference between learning basketball by shooting hoops in your driveway versus being part of a well-coached team with regular practice schedules and development plans. And it's not just about the training itself, it's about the environment where that training happens. And the results are absolutely devastating for anyone trying to compete with them.
Typically, a relatively weak lane.
Whoa, ambition!
Fine gaze, but it might not be enough. Heel coming through. Baker needs to make his way out. Out comes the right side. The flashback. Contract's now in trouble. Baker pushing for a little bit more. Is he going to get the first blood here? That's it from Baker.
Like, even though I only have a mat on the floor, I think he's in the bed. Oh, Baker may be in trouble here. Deathmark tries to clean it up for Ryu. Oh, look at the cleanse. Look at the moves. Baker!
The shockwave kills him. It's a double kill for Rula.
Is keeping sight on two.
For Faker.
If you played League of Legends between 2013 and 2017, seeing a Korean username in your game was basically just an invitation to practice your Korean. GG, good game, and FF20. forfeit at 20 minutes. That's all that you needed to communicate with them, because if you tried to type out anything else more, your whole team would be dismantled and aced and just wiped off the map with the mechanical precision of a Swiss watchmaker. And I mean, this wasn't just random chance. It was the result of deliberate investment in infrastructure and youth development. While American kids were being told to go outside and go play, Korean youth were being coached in micro and macro gameplay with the same seriousness of Olympic athletes. The same country that gave us K-pop and other training academies approached the gaming with equal rigor, and the results spoke for themselves. Systemic dominance across virtually every competitive game that they touched, from StarCraft to League to Overwatch. So back in 2000, under South Korea's Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism, the Korea Esports Association, the KESPA, was created with the goal of managing and promoting esports as a legitimate sporting activity. It essentially functions as a national governing body for competitive gaming. Like, imagine if the NBA was created by the government to develop the sport of basketball from the grassroots up. KESPA's core mission included things like standardizing player contracts, organizing tournaments, establishing training programs, and developing actual infrastructure to support professional gaming as a sustainable career path. Their approach of treating esports with the same seriousness as traditional sports helped establish South Korea as a global leader in the gaming scene, and created a model that demonstrated how government support could help legitimize and professionalize the gaming industry. And I mean, this type of infrastructure is exactly what we are missing. Any type of professional infrastructure is all privately owned, privately corporatized.
We're here at the Rocket Mortgage League of Legends training room. The first 2 years we were at the Rocket Mortgage team house, and it was incredible for what it did for our team. This year, Rocket Mortgage gave us the opportunity to elevate our teamwork and our chemistry by having the players in-house at the 100 Thieves Cash App compound.
And obviously it's more about generating profits than it is cultivating and building talent. While I don't exactly love the idea of the government being involved in video games, we need some sort of like centralized entity that at least has government support in order to actually build up anything sustainable. At least like right now we do. So along with Korea, China decided to also recognize esports as an official sport all the way back in 2003. Once again, while we were yelling about banning Pokemon cards in classrooms, other countries were once again building esports into their infrastructure. And the Japan Times recently reported that the Japanese government is investing about $285 billion, that's about $2.15 billion American, in esports development by 2025. And meanwhile, my kid's school still treats the computer lab like it's 1995, and it's like a weird place where you go to do typing and maybe do some Oregon Trail if you finish your work early. And like, that's what really gets me about this and drives me absolutely crazy. We're living in a country that loves talking about STEM and technology and innovation and that type of education, right? And we're all preparing our kids for a digital future, and yet somehow we have convinced ourselves that competitive gaming, which combines technology, strategy, teamwork, and problem solving, isn't worth supporting in our schools. Like, make it make sense. All right, let's talk about something that really drives home how differently the East and the West approach esports: celebrity culture. So, along with seeing live StarCraft matches in Korea back in 2002, I also saw StarCraft pros on mainstream TV and on TV commercials, not just as novelties or jokes, but as legitimate celebrities. As Dr. Ju notes in her research, she points to the example of Lim Boxer Yowan, who appeared in a TV commercial with K-pop superstars Girls' Generation, and then later married a prominent actress. We stan a king. This wasn't just some viral moment, it was a legitimate celebrity crossover that gave gamers something to aspire to beyond just winning tournaments. There's a very legitimate reason that millions of gamers around the world know the name Faker. Even if they don't play League of Legends, they know who Faker is. Korea treated esports like they were actually electronic sports, not just kids playing games. They weren't trying to legitimize gaming, they were treating it as legitimate from day one. When Faker emerged as League's first true global superstar, it wasn't just about his mechanical skill, it was about how Korea's esports infrastructure had created an environment where being the Michael Jordan of gaming was not only possible, possible, but it actually meant something. They didn't just build players, they built legends. Leagues of them even. But meanwhile, here in America, to this day, we treat our gaming celebrities like digital court gestures. Entertaining to watch on Twitch or YouTube, but they're not real celebrities. Sure, Tyler Ninja Blevins made the cover of ESPN magazine, but it was treated more like a curiosity than it was a celebration.
Move! If you got to throw it, just move. It's all I want to see, some movement. I'm not seeing enough movement.
It's like the difference between look at this weird thing that's happening and look at this respected professional at the top of their field. When my 11-year-old talks about wanting to go pro, they're not just talking about winning games, they're talking about actually having an impact and being recognized and making a mark. But in America, we've created this weird ceiling where gaming fame is somehow less legitimate than other types of celebrity. So it's like we're telling kids, sure, you can be successful, but only on the internet and only if you're making jokes about spitting on that thing. Like, we're standing at a fascinating crossroads where traditional sports culture is meeting digital innovation. My kids are growing up in a world where the line between traditional sports and esports are getting increasingly blurry. They don't see the distinction between shooting snipes and shooting hoops. It's just all different flavors of the same competitive drive. Let's talk numbers for a second, because I honestly do not understand how you could mess this up. So according to some of the numbers that I have found, the revenue of the esports industry in the United States increased more than fourfold between 2018 and 2020. It is forecasted to exceed 1.5 billion in 2028. And also apparently the United States has the highest number of active esports competition players worldwide, at least of 2023. Think about that, with esports in America basically being dead, and I'm gonna say it's dead. They're still raking in almost $1 billion a year, but instead of reinvesting that money into infrastructure, like I just keep talking about Infrastructure Week, they're mostly focused at people at the top of the pyramid, mainly the pro players in the big tournaments and the heads of the organizations.
It's definitely difficult right now in gaming in general. In addition to that, there's so many other problems, like over those years where a lot of the orgs brought in VC money and the industry wasn't profitable during those times. The orgs ended up paying the players too much money, and now these VC firms that own portions of the company, they want their dime back.
As Te points out in her analysis, the dollars sloshing around American esports don't necessarily reach new players and up-and-coming talents, or even esports teams. Instead, most of the benefit flows to the publishers, tier 1 esports organizations, and already established top player professionals. So taking a step back and going back to the label of real sports, this is where things get a little bit complicated and debated.
The bottom line is, if you want to compete at the highest level of any esport, you have to win in convoluted tier 2 systems. And sometimes winning isn't even enough. At the time, winning challengers did not qualify you for the franchised LCS. Other than buying a spot after another team left, there was no way to work your way into Tier 1 in North America.
We have Little League, high school teams, college programs. We have a whole pipeline that supports athlete development from childhood to pros. In esports, we're kind of just building the plane and flying it, and sometimes that plane is made out of like Minecraft blocks, which if you really think about it, something made of blocks shouldn't really fly like that. But I mean, much less be aerodynamic, but here we are soaring through the skies because we live in a stupid world and nothing matters anymore.
So it's just stress. It's just stress. It's just nothing but stress and hope and pain and jubilation when they win. It's a roller coaster. It's just the reality. Esports don't make money. Only, I would say, 1 out of 10 esports org makes money. It's very unfortunate. It's definitely becoming more of a passion thing. And it's a hard ask for players to kind of like give up their youth to chase a dream that has such a low chance of paying off.
The challenges are unique though. Like, how do you create a stable career path in an industry where games can go from like global phenomenon to ghost town faster than you can say, remember Artifact? And you know what? If you don't, I'm not going to explain it. But I will say, especially in this whole like live service weird thing that we're in with gaming now, like there really is an inherent risk in trying to invest so much time into something that what you're being told is like the next big thing, and then it just basically goes to zero faster than you can say player retention metrics. actually wondering how you can build a career out of something like this isn't really just theoretical questions anymore. They're very real considerations for many parents that are my age who grew up with gaming as a core part of our lives. Luckily, we have a more nuanced understanding of gaming as a hobby and a habit, and yes, a legitimate career path, but when a lot of people from my generation talk about our kids' gaming habits, we're not really worrying about the same things our parents did. We're not asking, are they playing too much? At least me, I'm asking, are they developing transferable skills? Are they building good practice habits? Are they learning to actually manage tilt and maintain focus and not just start raging? Like, yes, we are starting to see schools that are investing in esports infrastructure and investing more in helping cultivate those types of skills. But I mean, really, at the end of the day, all we really have are Discord servers and Twitch streams. Like when trying to build the NFL and the NBA, they use things like youth programs. Like imagine trying to make your own NBA league now without youth programs. Sure, some exceptional talent will break through, but I mean, we're still missing out on developing the vast majority of potential. Remember when kids used to go gather at the local arcade? I remember. Those weren't just places to play games, they were community hubs where skills were shared, friendships were forged, and gaming culture was built. PC bongs serve that same function in Korea, but in America, we've got GameStop? It's not really the same vibe. Dr. Ju once again spitting hot fire, explaining in her research that the social aspects of gaming culture are very crucial for development. You have to always be competing against the best players, and the best way to do that is to have everyone in a house and hire a maid or someone to cook and clean for you, so you can just play games all day. That collective culture is essential to just pushing your players to be better. And like, here's the kicker, without these physical spaces, we're not just losing out on gaming development, we are missing out on the opportunity for actual legitimate community building. We're talking about mentorship and the kind of face-to-face social interaction that builds real teams. My kids are technically playing with friends when they're gaming, but I mean, they're also doing it in the living room or in their rooms. They end up missing out on the rich social fabric that makes traditional sports so valuable for development. And LAN parties too. Like, man, they don't do that anymore. So what is the solution? Well, first off, I'm not going to have the exact answers here. I have my ideas, but I definitely think that first we need to acknowledge what we are missing here. This isn't just about whether or not you or your kid can go pro in Valorant. It's about whether or not we're going to continue letting other countries dominate an industry that's already shaping our future. Like this, at least off the top of my head, this is what I think that we need. Community spaces, I mean, like real physical locations where gamers can gather and practice and build community, not just esports arenas for the pros, but just local hangout spots that function like batting cages or basketball courts. I know there's a whole thing about the death of third spaces and all that, and I honestly thought gaming was going to replace that, but I was wrong, and that sucks, because I'm rarely wrong. Start seeing it as a potential pathway to STEM careers, team building skills, and yes, even actual professional opportunities. Structured development programs. As Tay points out, the most successful content often combines traditionally masculine approaches to information delivery with traditionally feminine approaches to community engagement. So we need to develop programs that develop both technical skills and emotional intelligence. Like, a lot of you gamers out there need some emotional intelligence. I'm playing Marvel Rivals, and some of the stuff that you guys get upset about, like, are you kidding me?
The day I found out through that first year that's more important than maybe this like far-fetched goal of mine is like setting up these kids, man, like, you know, teens, early 20s, like these young pro players' careers to be the best careers they can be, and like setting them up right, you know, making sure they're in a good situation, they're playing well, and then they're also like taking care of themselves. I grew much more attached to the individuals than I maybe would have expected going in.
And the last thing, and in my opinion, it ain't gonna happen. I'd love to be proven wrong. I'm dead serious. I'd love to be proven wrong. But government support. When South Korea established KESPA in 2000, they weren't just legitimizing gaming, they were investing in their digital future. 20 years later, that investment has paid off spectacularly. There's a reason that I know about South Korea Telecom 1 and not about AT&T. I don't even know what AT&T stands for. Alright, look, I get it. As a parent of 4, I understand the instinct to dismiss gaming as, just games. But here's the reality. While we're busy debating whether or not esports are legitimate, other countries are going ahead and building infrastructure that's giving their youth significant advantages in the digital age. It's not just about games anymore, it's about actual digital literacy, community building, and actual economic opportunity. When Japan announces a multi-billion-dollar investment in esports infrastructure, they're not just funding gaming, they're investing in their youth's future ability to compete with an increasingly digital world. And as I stated towards the beginning, Korea's early investments in PC bongs and esports infrastructure helped position them as a global technology leader. And that wasn't an accident. As Dr. Ju noted, the government encouraged the widespread adoption of digital communication as a way to promote the technology industry, and also as a way to make the workforce and the economy more globally competitive. And it worked. Korea's internet speed was miles ahead of ours in the mid-2000s. Like, people are just now getting fiber, and oh my god. So, alright. Let me just wrap up here. I'm ranting right now. So right now, if my kids showed serious gaming talent, I would have to consider moving them to Korea to get a real shot at development. And that's really messed up, isn't it? That's really lame. We are the country that invented the personal computer. We pioneered the internet, and we created some of the world's largest gaming companies, yet somehow we are falling behind in developing the next generation of digital talent. What are we doing here? We live in stupid world. Like, the Ocho might have given us competitive cheese rolling, but esports has actually given us a glimpse of the future. And the question is, are we going to just keep treating it like a novelty, or are we finally going to give it the foundation that it deserves? Because right now, we're not just losing games, we're losing out on opportunities, talent, and just the chance to shape an industry that's already shaping our kids' future, and that is no joke. If you have made it this far, I just want to say thank you for your time. Yeah, I had a lot to say about esports because I legitimately still believe in esports. I have a lot of experience, I have some experience like in the esports industry, so to speak, just, past work history and stuff like that. It's something that I believe in, and I really do think is something that can still be accomplished, but not for at least the next few years, if you know what I mean. So yeah, just let me know what you think. Let me know if you think that esports in America can survive for like another 5 years. Let me know if you are a professional esport player, and if this resonated with you, let me know your thoughts. I know Charlie Moist has an esport team, so Charlie, if you see this, let me know what you think. If this is worthy of like a mogul mail video, hey, I won't say no to that either. So please let me know what you think. Let's get some conversations going in the comments below. Thank you for everyone who's been checking out my stuff. Really quick, thank you to everyone who checked out my Squid Game Battle Royale video. I'm really glad that people are enjoying it, and hopefully this one will be enjoyed as well. So I'm going to start the upload, I'm going to start editing, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.